Talking Points with Paul Hammond on UCB1.
A recent report from the Office of National Statistics noted that there had been a reduction in the number of employment vacancies that were available, even though there was still a considerable number of vacancies available across the UK, which of course is good news for people who are out of work. But one of the side threads from that statistic was the fact that people over 50 who are determined post-pandemic to maybe take early retirement or step back from the world of work full-time were actually returning to work. Now, why is that? Is it just about the money? Or is it about something more within the lives of older members of society, perhaps feeling that they want to be doing something constructive, something productive, something that contributes, and also something that gives them a sense of meaning and purpose in their lives? Well, we've spoken to Faith in Later Life, the organisation, the charity that supports older people and encourages older people to see the validity not just of their faith, but also of their life. We've spoken to them before. faithinlaterlife.org is their website. And Adsum Tri-Ravenhill is the church champion lead for Faith in Later Life. He joins me on the line. And what do you think it is then, Adsum? Is it simply about money, or is there more to it than that?
I think there is a bit more to it than that, although money is, as always, a major factor. I think a couple of things to be aware of. If we kind of cycle the tape back 14 years to 2008, the hardest hit people in our society were pensioners, were people who were retired, which should have been, in some ways, the most secure people. They've kind of done their bit in society. Their pension should have been safe, but they weren't. And so there's a potential that people are doing this out of fear that something might happen down the road, if not something happened already. And secondly, I think with kind of families kind of living together again for the first time. I know my wife and I live with my in-laws now. In this kind of merged household becoming more regular, there's potential that there's a kind of group commitment to kind of a better lifestyle or something along those lines that we might be returning to.
And so we are finding people are unretiring, but also we're finding people are not able to retire. And I suppose that brings its own pressures for people, because if you are unretiring, there's no guarantee that you're going to be able to get back into the career or the role that you had when you retired. So it may not just be a new avenue in terms of going back to work, but it might actually be a whole new direction that you're working in.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that we have a lot of work to do as a society to kind of value and to show that we are valuing older people in the workplace. They do still make up a significant portion of our workforce. And yeah, we need to make sure that we're not expecting them to take certain roles over others, because they do bring with them what we call the gift of years, a huge wealth of experience and knowledge and wisdom that they can bring to different roles. And I hope that that's something that we see bear out as people return to the workforce.
Is there a danger of a sense of failure in this, though? Because it's a big, to choose to retire, especially to choose to retire early, it's a big step. It's a big statement. You're making a big statement about, what your finances will allow you to do. You're making a big statement about what maybe your commitment to your spouse and your family is in all of this. To then have to backtrack on that, it's never easy to do a U-turn, as some politicians have learned over recent years.
Yeah, absolutely. What we see whenever anyone makes a major life change, whether that's marriage or having a baby or changing jobs or moving, the same is true here. I worry that, especially for those in our churches, for whom their support system within the church might meet midweek, for instance, as is the case with a lot of kind of 65 plus groups, that what we're what we'll be seeing isn't just that they return to the workforce, but they return to the workforce and thereby lose any sense of community or connection that they might have had before. We see people losing multiple hours in the week, potentially dietary lifestyles and fitness that they would have otherwise had. So we need to be looking out in our churches that, just as we would if somebody were to have a baby, that we might offer help, assistance, food, meals, those kind of things to people who are finding themselves required to return to the workplace. Yeah.
It's not easy, though, is it, I suppose in some ways, we talk about statistics, we talk about the percentages that are returning to work and so on. It's not easy to see the practical application of what we can do to support, encourage and help people who are facing the financial pressures that are pushing them back into the workplace. It's not always easy to see how we can engage with people, because sometimes we can be a proud bunch.
Sometimes we can. And I think this is why it's important that when we turn up to church on a Sunday, that we're looking out for the people who are on the fringes, but we also look for the ongoing health and whether that's spiritual health or physical health or mental health of the people in our churches. We need to make sure that discipleship goes beyond the kind of early stages of somebody coming to faith and follows them through their whole life. And so, yeah, we need to make sure that we're stepping up, seeing that there are people in our churches who are struggling right now, and making sure that though it should be the case that maybe somebody else or another group leader or something along those lines would step up. Actually, if you're listening today and you're thinking, oh, well, I don't know whether I can kind of give any help or provide that, why not just ask? You don't know what kind of help that you could provide just by your presence or a listening ear.
Let's recognise that the fact that people are part of the more mature end of society doesn't mean that they've got all the answers or they've got everything sussed. Let's recognise that there is a need to support older members of our churches, of our faith communities, of our society, and let's recognise that we are given a great opportunity to be able to do that just by being within their sphere. There's loads of resources and advice on faithinlaterlife.org, faithinlaterlife.org. That's the charity, the organisation that Adsum works for, and you can go there, go to their website, find out a whole load more about this and what they're saying around it. Adsum, great to speak to you today. Thank you for joining us.